Eddie Van Halen here, telling you, keep playing, man. Gotta keep playing. It's the only thing there is. Music, man. Keep playing. All right? I'm gonna come looking for you if you don't.
There we are. I guess there was a little technical difficulty with the room tonight. I don't know what's going on there. Anyway, we are here, and it is Tuesday, Guitar Arsenal, on, April 22nd, 2025, 9:08 p.m. Eastern Time, and we are ready to go. I want to welcome in Jimmy Bider and John Shane. What's up? What is going on, gentlemen?
Hey.
I got to make sure that, of course, we lost power today. We had absolutely nothing happening here. No storms, no anything, and just power went out. So I had to reset my computer, making sure all levels are good. So hopefully everything is set like it should be. Everything seemed to be okay so far?
Sounding good, yeah.
Right on, right on. Well, we've got a controversial topic tonight. I guess it could be approached from several different ways, I guess, however you look at it. But I was kind of thinking, all the guitars that I've got, I've cycled through a few. You know, I've had an Epiphone, I've had a Squire before, and I had that PRS SE guitar. I've tried many versions and brands. What's the one, Heritage, that makes the Les Paul style guitar? And for me, it always seemed like I came back to the name brand of the guitar. Not that there was anything wrong with those guitars. You know, they played. But we'll get into more of that later, I guess. We'll talk about the specifics of kind of what I was thinking when I came up with this idea. But first off, let's get over here and say hello and thank you to our channel members. We got a bunch of channel members that have been around for like 21, 22 months now. And we want to say thank you to all of our channel members, old and new. We do have channel membership available on the channel. And again, we thank you and appreciate you that have supported us. There is a join button over there underneath the video chat, or a link in the description if you would like to support us in that manner. So we greatly, greatly appreciate everybody that has done so. Thank you. Helps to keep the lights on. Let's get over to the chat. How about we? And let's get it unzipped and see who is here. Looky here. The first one that I see pops out is R2R3 Locking Nut. He says, I am a guitar snob and beer snob. I don't like Epiphone, and I don't like Milwaukee's Best beer. There you go. I guess that's a whole nother conversation. Beer, I'm not so picky with. Guitars, yes. Let's see who else we got. Channel member Earl Cola is here saying, howdy friends. What are we drinking tonight? And cheers. Just a Diet Cola for me, as usual. Let's see. Earl Cola also says, regarding tonight's topic, I'm not a snob. Really like Sire guitars. I also have a custom shop Gibson ES446, ES335, and Fender Strats. The Sires are quite nice, especially the LP models. Right on. Let's see. We also have Chuck C is here. Greetings and good evening. Let's see. We've got channel member Stephen Franklin in the chat. Right on. Good to see you, Mr. Franklin. We've got Maria Alejandro. I can't see the rest of it. Rez. Right on. Welcome in. This appears to be a new name, unless I've forgotten you. Welcome in. Wayne McConnell is here with an hola. Good to see you, Wayne. Florida Claimers Ted is hanging out. Good to see you, sir. Tim Thomas, right there behind you. Channel member, OU crew member, and panel member tonight, Jimmy Bider. What's up? Always good to have you here, Jimmy. We've got Mark Spurgeon is here in the chat. Good to see you hanging out. Yeah. Well, on Tuesday nights, you know, we've wanted to keep it a little more intimate conversation. However, tonight I was hoping that Randy could be here, and even R2 and Trev. Trev tweaked his back, I guess, so he's resting that up. So get better, Trev. And Randy is still fighting with Comcast. So he's been without internet for several days, and he's getting
packet, something or other.
he's getting rowdy. He's getting rowdy.
Well, I don't see we're not jamming, so he could try.
Yeah, well, he said he could barely load up a web page or something. So
It's that bad.
yeah, so we'll see if he can jump in. I'm sure he will. We got Yostinator is here. Say yo. Got a hot one tonight. That's right. Let's see. Who else do we got? We got a Stu Petty is right here, right on. We got channel member Hillary. Welcome in, Hillary. Always good to see you. Channel member Blue Mox. Crew and chats, right on. Good to see you, Blue. Let's see. Who else do we've got? We got Bradley Wood, who we was introduced to last show. Good to see you here again, Bradley. Right on. Let's see. Channel member 40 Grit is here as well, saying, what up, dudes? Good to see you. 40 had some really good videos. I think, was it yesterday? He had one earlier in the day, and then he went live last night. Good stuff over there at 40 Grit Mike's channel. So make sure you check out all those links in that description for the supported channels.
You can jump on tonight too.
Yeah, man. If you'd like a link, we can get you one. We got channel member Martian Murray is here saying howdy. Good to see you. Brian Peterson is hanging out. Right on. Look at here early in the chat. We've got channel member Boneer Jams. Said, I hope Nibbler attends my funeral rocking the parental advisory skull cap. Well, what if he goes first?
I'm going to have one on my head and one holding my balls.
Right on. We got channel member Mean Joe McGraw is here. Good to see you, Joe. Right on.
Joe.
Boner says, John Shane looking sexy as hell tonight. Right on.
Nowhere near as sexy as you, my man.
Nowhere near. Let's see, who else do we have? We've got Christopher Alive Asova. Right on, man. He says, I own one guitar. It's a Fender based on color. Dave Murray, Iron Maiden Brown and White. There we go.
Cool.
Nothing wrong with that. We got channel member Rob Blackmore Official is here saying hey to everybody. Good to see you, Rob. Boy, Boner is just saying hey to everybody. Right on, right on. Joe McGraw, I like to make lower guitars better and have done it many times. So as long as the neck is good, it's all good. Tell me what you want to your style. Right on. Darboard is here hanging out. We also have Sammy Reynolds is here. Right on. A couple new faces here. We got Jade Guitars. All guitars have the ability to be great. This is true. So that's kind of something we'll touch on here in a minute. Let's see, who else do we have in the chat? We said hey to Joe. We got Daniel Berry Sports Highlights hanging out with us. Right on. Good to see you. We got Dory McMahon saying, wishing everyone a good evening. Right on, Dory. Let's see. Boner Jams, thank you, sir. Great channel. Keep up the good work. I'm trying, man. I'm trying. We're making it up as we go along.
You guys are great over there, too. Our sister channel.
Absolutely. Joe also says, my first guitar I had to buy with my paper route on layaway back in the 70s. It's a 67 Teisco Strat and still have it, but put an ABS style bridge on it and sounds amazing. Very cool, man. Very cool. Did we say hey to Mark Spurgeon? We're saying it right now. He's the last one that I see in the chat. If I missed you for some reason, I apologize. Say something and we'll grab you and say hello. So I think we got one that has just kicked the door down and made her way in. I'm waiting for it to pop up. There she is. Dahlia Mendez hanging out too. Good to see you, Dahlia. Right on. So back to the topic. So like I said, my experience has been, I specifically grabbed this guitar right here. This is the Adam Jones Les Paul standard, I guess you would call it. And they had a version of this in Epiphone, right? So the Epiphone version was more affordable. So I thought, well, let me try it out, because they finally changed, the Epiphone headstocks to, the standard mustache Gibson headstock. So I was like, well, that's the one thing that I'd always hated about Epiphone, was that stupid little double butt looking thing on the headstock, right? So you guys remember I purchased that guitar, brought it home, played it, and I was like, yeah, it's a good guitar, plays nice. I just could not get over the fact that it said Epiphone that long on the headstock. So is that, cork sniffery, this guitar snobbery, that I just couldn't get over that? Or There was something about the feel of the guitar too, you know.
There you go.
It just it sounded great. It played fine, but there was just something about the feel. You know, the whatever they used on the neck, it was more sticky. You know, I could tell the nut wasn't quite quality that I wanted or expected, but it was more affordable and great guitar. You know, you gig with it and play years and years and years for it. So, you know, is it, I guess it all comes down to just personal preference, right? Or is that considered guitar snobbery? You know, I've had Fender Squires before, and it was a cool guitar to kind of bang around and experiment on, but it just had kind of a hollow sound to it. So, you know, I went with a brand Fender Strat, you know, when I got that US made. So is it more in your mind? I see a lot of channels that will do, you know, blindfold comparisons, and, you know, they'll play lower grade guitars and then on up. And usually if it's an experienced player, they'll pick the higher end guitar. They're like, that one just feels better. What's your thoughts? What's your thoughts in the chat? Let us know. Jimmy, I know that you can make pretty much anything that you've got, you know, a tree limb that fell out in the backyard. You'll make it into a neck.
Well, I mean, you bring up a good point between Epiphone and Gibson.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the biggest difference is the higher echelon brand just feels more refined. And that equates to a, you know, a certain degree of, you know, more comfort.
Mm-hmm. I guess really with that point there, it brings up the point that I feel is that I'm more inspired by a certain guitar. And it just so happens that, you know, the Gibsons, the Fenders, the better known brand, I guess, or the mother brand, just always has felt better to me. So it's more inspiring. So is that just something in my head, or is it the fact that I see Gibson on the headstock or Fender on the headstock?
No, I mean, it really comes down to, it's like, you know, there's like, say with Gibson Les Pauls, whatever model, there's a certain spec that they're trying to hit it, and the lower tier brands just aren't hitting that spec. And I don't think they're meant to either. To, you know, to make it, oh, well, this is great, but I did pick up that Gibson, and boy, man, I was like, I mean, it was just that, you know, 10% difference, but man, it made all the difference in the world, and it makes me want to play it.
Right.
You know, so it's like you get onto the floor with the lower priced model, and then you graduate up into the big boy brand.
Right. Well, now you personally, you have some affordable guitars.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know, you've got a couple of Dean shaped Les Pauls. What's the other couple of brands that you've got?
I've got Washburns, PVs. What else? I can't remember because I've sold a bunch of them.
Right. But each one that you've had, you've done specific work on it to make it feel right for you, right?
Yep. And I think I can pretty much, unless it's like some, you know, chunky, you know, telly, you know, log style, you know, neck, you know, because I'm kind of a small-handed guy.
Mm.
So I can't do the, you know, gargantuan baseball bat necks. But as long as they're, you know, reasonable, you know, I can get my hand around it, you know, I can grow comfortable to the neck shape.
Right. But I mean, it's to play, you know, argumentative here. A piece of wood is a piece of wood, right? So, no. I mean, for example, this guitar that's here in the corner, that Pacer Special, that Kramer Pacer Special, that was a $190 guitar, right? And it plays really good and it sounds pretty good. However, it feels like a $190 guitar. but it's a maple neck, you know, it's got metal frets. So what's the difference, you know?
Well, I think it comes down to finish. I mean, a lot of my cheaper guitars is, you know, since I have the ability to, oh well, the fretwork's kind of, you know, iffy. Straighten the neck out, do a level crown, get that thing just playing, get that action slammed down, and everything's great. And I think that's what, where a lot of lower tier guitars kind of fall short. Is especially back when we were kids, it was like, yeah,
Right.
you got mile high action, and guess what? That's what you get to live with.
Yeah. And maybe that's the thing too, is, from when I was a kid, the guitars were crap. That was a, $200 guitar that you could afford. They were crap. So is that where my mindset started? That this off-brand Epiphone or this, this Dean or this whatever, this Squire, these are no good. So was that imprinted on me as all those years ago? So kids coming up today, they may play a Squire and that's all that they know, and it feels great for them, so I guess, again, is it the fit and finish? Is it guitar snobbery of name brand only? So John, you use an example. You like a Suhr guitar because it feels fantastic to you. So the fit and finish. You also have a parts guitar that you play.
I gigged with for 20 years.
Right. So how does that guitar, when you pick it up, do you go, this feels like a quality instrument that I've played for years? Or do you pick it up and go, yep, this still feels like the same piece of crap that it was? Not saying that the guitar is a piece of crap. You know what I'm saying? This doesn't have the level of...
No, nowhere near. Right?
Yeah.
It has a mojo.
Right.
And it's, it's a good piece of mahogany, and it does a thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, all in, that guitar was $700, something like that.
Mm-hmm. Well, so you did use higher quality products.
Yeah,
So
I upgraded it.
yeah. So is it a matter of how the same maple neck on this guitar was dried properly, whereas this maple neck on this $150 guitar was just sawn
Totally.
2 weeks ago and slapped on a guitar and sent out?
Yeah. Since I've got into the Suhr guitars, I don't play that one. I'll
Right.
put another guitar down before I play it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all those things, right? I mean, they dry their necks, and if Mike's still here, I mean, they'll cut the neck and they'll put it on a rack for 3 months
Mm-hmm.
and start shaping it and all that sort of thing.
Yep.
And it's all the little things, right? I mean,
Let's
that
see,
guitar over there has some fret sprout and sharp
Right.
points, but there's stuff in the chat. We can come back to this.
Yeah, no, that's fine. We can get to Bradley's comment here. He says, a guitar has got to be right regardless of the brand. However, I found that the chances of it being right are generally increased if it's an Anderson, Grover Built Freeman, Tuttle, Suhr, Luxtone. Right on.
Yeah. He
So-
nailed it right there.
So coming down to fit and finish is what Bradley's saying. Let's see what else is going on in the chat. Zach Thong is here. Good to see you, Zach. Welcome in. Welcome in. Let's see. Stu Petty says maybe, but I get it. China made. Not sure what he's talking about there. Joe says it does matter a lot of times, but if you're on a budget, you can get it close.
Mm-hmm.
So that will go back to, are you just, kind of accepting what you get because that's all you can afford? Are you wanting more? Or, are you able to get it to where you're happy with it? Are you just, placating yourself saying, yeah, close enough? Let's see. 40 Grit says, I think it's fun to get a mid-level and upgrade it. Nothing wrong with that.
Again, he has the talent to do
Right?
it, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Sammy Reynolds says higher price guitar manufacturers pay more attention to the little details. Now, I've got a couple of guitars to compare that with, like on the EVH brand. They're all EVH brand, but you've got the Indonesian made, which I've played some fantastic ones of those. Jimmy, you love those necks off of those guitars because they just feel great. Those feel fantastic. it's been kind of hit and miss between them. I've played some real duds, but then you get up into the specials, which are made in Mexico. And again, you can find some really, really fantastic ones. My purple one, that blows my other two specials away. But then you go up to the USA signature one, and immediately when I pick up that guitar, I can feel the difference in the fit, finish, feel. It's more inspiring to play. It just feels like a top quality, instrument. So does that beg to differ the fact that if somebody's been playing longer, are they going to prefer a top tier guitar, or are they still going to be happy with something that maybe has been tweaked a little bit? So again, is it the snobbery?
I don't think so.
Or
well, it depends how you look at it.
Right.
Some people like the blues lawyers with the PRS, right?
Right.
I've never met one that I've liked.
Yeah.
But they're beautiful works of art. The fit and finish is perfect on them, and they use the right woods and all of those. But I mean, they're showpieces.
Yeah. And me too. I haven't met a PRS that I've liked. And, on the same fact, I personally haven't met a Suhr guitar that I've liked.
Mm-hmm. And your comment of it not having personality has validity to it, because I mean, you're not the only person that's ever said that.
Right. But that may go to the fact of how consistently perfect they are.
The way I look at it in the case of the two guitars I have those are clean. Anything that comes out of that thing is from me.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the guitar, not me having to work the guitar a certain way.
Right.
Or work with the guitar. It's as perfect as a guitar can be.
So
Having said that, though, for Telly, I don't want a Suhr.
Right. You want a Telly because it has its own character.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. So different ways to look at it, I guess. Let's see. Hillary says the only one I've kept, which I haven't played in years, is my super thick and heavy BC Rich Bitch.
That's awesome.
You need to break that thing out and come up and play on panel one day. If you got that thing. Let's see. E. coli. How many Gibson Les Pauls have we seen fall over and headstock breaks? Me personally, I haven't seen any of mine. Expensive guitars are best kept at home in the case and not for gigs unless the venue is worthy of the risk. I would disagree. I've had some high dollar guitars that I have gigged because I bought them to play them. They're a tool. I'm at home here, but I mean, I have just as much chance of getting up out of my chair to change a guitar and the strap comes loose and this falls on the floor here. So obviously there's more risk of drunk people at a bar, but I was always careful with mine and had them put away and out of the reach of any of the crowd. But
it's a continuum. Do you look at it as a work of art like some guys with PRS, or is it a tool like your Claudia there, who happens to be beautiful?
Mm-hmm. Well, see, Claudia, I mean, I wouldn't purposefully bang it up against the desk or anything, but if it starts to wear and get some cracks, some checking on it, and so I don't care. I've paid good money for relic guitars before, so as that happens,
honestly,
yeah,
and,
as that happens naturally on that one, I have no qualms about it. It'll still
accelerated gigging because you are gonna bump into mic stands and
right.
that sort of thing. But.
Yeah. But again, certainly there are a lot of artists. Nash guitars. I think one of the reasons that there are some artists that play those is because those actually feel like a vintage, Strat or Telly. Mm-hmm. And a lot of Fender artists, may not want to bring out that, old relic Stratocaster 60 something that's worth, $300,000 or whatnot. Yeah. I mean, you're getting a little more into the, maybe I won't gig with this, $1.5 million 59 Les Paul or whatever. Yep. Yeah. Let's see.
Chat seems to be hopping there.
Yeah, Bradley says, Jimmy's right. Higher priced guitars receive more attention to detail during the build, so they generally feel better and play better. I would agree with that. Jade Guitars. That was me when I was younger. I had a Cort LP and I had to have that Gibson. Yes, it was better than the Cort, but it lost its luster real quick. Interesting. I learned on a Hondo style Les Paul. Actually, it looked a lot like my custom right there, but it had a bolt-on neck, and it was a Hondo. But I learned on it.
Les Paul.
What's that?
Mine was a Black Man, MANN Les Paul.
Right. Yeah. But I can remember. And my first guitar was an Epiphone Strat style shaped guitar. And I could remember even back then, I was like, I can't wait until I can afford something better than this, because it just felt like crap, Yep. So I don't know. Maybe mine came, like I said, from when I was younger. Gene Spliced, welcome in. A channel member, Gene. He says, you can get some kind of garbage Gibsons too. That is correct. They're not all great, especially when you compare a bunch of them at the same time. I've said it many times that I searched for years and years and years before I found a Les Paul that I liked. And Claudia was the first one. And I must say, I think Gibson has really stepped up their game recently, because a lot more and more guitars that I pick up off the rack are like, man, this feels really good, really consistent. Let's see. Mark says, I only mod my inexpensive guitars. Nothing wrong with that. Yostinator, I like the new old Epiphone Kalamazoo headstock. Now, Yost is one. I've seen many of his guitars. He's got a lot of Epiphones, so he has no qualms with purchasing and buying the Epiphone guitars. So, personal preference. Let's see. Blue Mox had an early Epi 60s right after they changed the headstock. SG truly was a wonderful guitar, light and snappy, basically flawless. I never bonded with it. I hear the latest runs are getting... We'll have to continue that in his next comment. Very sloppy. There it is. He reminds me that I had a LTD. I think it was one of the Les Paul shaped guitars. I can't remember the exact model. I think it was an EC. I can't remember. But it was the same. It was like an amber color. And I gigged with that guitar. And, I bought it at the time because it was an affordable guitar that I could gig with. And I wanted a Les Paul style guitar for a certain song. Actually, it was this song right here. I was looking for a certain sound to record that song and play it live. And I wanted to get a Les Paul shaped guitar. And that guitar did well for recording of that song, but I can still remember playing it and going, I wish I had a better guitar. I wish it was a Gibson.
But why did you wish it?
Because of the feel of it.
There you go.
It sounded good, and it was a nice looking guitar, but it just didn't ever feel right to me. Let's see, Mean Joe says, I have a 70s National guitar I bought for $100 about 20 years ago and would put it up to Gibson Custom, but I basically gutted it as far as electronics. Just was an experiment. Yeah, I'm not saying that there aren't some fantastic playing more inexpensive, or you know what I'm saying. Let's see what else is going on. Stephen Franklin, sometimes the name brand just plays better and almost makes it easier, more inspiring for me.
Yep.
I know with playing the Sterling, I'm in the market for the Ernie Ball Music Man, but still love the Sterling, and it's a keeper. See?
Yep.
Now, that would even go to this Music Man Axis EX that I have. That was the one that was made over in Japan right after Edward left Ernie Ball.
With the parts too, right?
With the same pickups and so forth.
Yeah.
The guitar sounds great. It feels great, but I know it's not a real Ernie Ball Music Man EVH. So it makes me want one, still. So again,
That's very niche, though. I mean, because you have a certain affinity for Ed, right?
Right.
You will own one day just because.
And it just depends. It depends.
But
Yeah.
that's not snobbery. That's
But what's the difference? You know?
it doesn't have his signature on it. It's not the one that Ed would have went and picked up in the 90s and played on stage. And you know that, and I know that. And until you have one that's legit, not one that's built better so the E string, no, you want that one. I get it totally, man. That's not snobbery.
Right.
At all.
That's just what you want.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Let's see. We got channel member Al's G is here. I think especially gigging, you feel better with a quality instrument for not just sound, but reliability. That's a good point too. Not having to tune it, every couple of seconds into a song, not having to worry about, the Floyd Rose popping off of it. Absolutely. Let's see. Joe was agreeing with me at some point. Thank you for that. Revolution is my name. Welcome in. Says it's okay to be a snob. I agree with that too. Yeah. Stu Petty, feel is important. That's probably one of the most important things for me. I honestly think though, that if you handed me an Epiphone guitar, blindfolded, and I played it, and it felt nice, the neck was how I like it, it resonated how I like it, and then you handed me a Gibson that felt the exact same way, and I'm impressed with the way that both of them feel. And I couldn't tell the difference. And then I was like, okay, I got to have one of those guitars. I would buy the Gibson.
Of course you would.
But why?
It's better.
Is it? If it feels the
Brand is
same,
more highly regarded.
if it feels the same and it sounds the same, is it better?
It doesn't have the heritage of a pure blood Gibson.
Okay. So then again, does that go into, is that snobbery?
I mean, I don't know. Say heritage, Epiphone has been around longer than Gibson.
Shut up.
Right.
I knew that. As soon as I said that, Jimmy, I'm like, fuck,
I mean, Epiphone, they were, top-notch stuff. It's just that, Gibson got a hold of them and it's like, well, now you're our second-tier brand.
Yeah.
Right. Yep. I guess a lot of it comes down to just really what you like, and, but it's an interesting topic to talk and argue about, I guess. Yeah. Yostinator. Go ahead.
I think that the heritage is in part due to that, the beginnings of lots of early, rock and roll was, Gibson's been associated with, the music that we grew up with.
This is true. Do I want a Les Paul because, Slash plays one? No. Do I want one maybe because Jimmy Page played one? Maybe. So, yeah. Ed started with one. Yeah. So, I guess some of that is our early influences that we saw, the Eagles, seeing Joe Walsh play one, and, everybody from the 70s basically, and on into to the 80s a lot of times.
well, that was it. It was either that or Fender. Really?
Yeah. Well, until Kramer came out and all that, but
Yeah.
let's see what else is going on. Yostinator, I enjoy my Squiers, CVs, and Fender Mexicos as much as my American Fenders. There you go. So if the feel, the fit and finish is the same for you in between, or if you appreciate all of them, nothing wrong with that. Joe says it depends on the guitar for me and if it's worth spending $400 or $500. Stu says Mexican guitars are not bad at all. I've played some good ones. Let's see. KXM Rock, welcome in. He says Paul Reed Smith says all his woods are musical. He taps on the wood and you hear a note. Yeah, well, I can tap on, this piece of plastic and hear a note. Doesn't mean I want a guitar made out of it. Unless it's a Steinberger GL2T right there, which is carbon fiber though. Let's see what else is going on in the chat. Joe says it's upgrading it. Not sure what he means there.
I think you can tie into that, but go ahead.
Jimmy Biter built brands are the best.
Well, they're the best for me because everything I put together is to my preferences.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know,
The way that you like it.
I mean, there's like I have a number of guitars that I have sold and that I do have like on Reverb, and I put them together, and then people, I've had people fight with me. Well, those aren't the pickups that are supposed to be in the guitar. Well, what's supposed to be in the guitar?
Right. Yeah.
Everything is to my preference. I'm not changing nothing because I think, when I do a guitar, I mean, yeah, it's gonna play like $1,000,000, and it's like most of the time when people are buying used gear, is they're generally going to change it from how they receive it.
But depending on the level of the guitar, is that why you're having to change it? If you buy the top tier name brand, does it already have the nice pickups and all that you don't have to do anything with it?
Both my Sirs come with inarguably great pickups. But I changed both of them.
But I think that comes down to we're just guitar players. That's just the way we do. I think I need to change up the pickups, make it sound different.
For me, it's not hearing what I want out of the guitar, right?
Okay, so maybe it's the guitar, not the pickups.
Well, now the guitar is the guitar, and it was the pickups.
Oh, okay.
There you go, right?
I'm just for argument's sake.
Yeah. Well, here's a good example. When I bought my first telly, it was a American Pro 2.
Hold that story. I want to say hello to Hugh Caldwell is here. Welcome in, man. Good to see you. Good to see you. Thanks for being here. All right, go ahead, John.
I was talking with Steve, our friend Steve Brand,
Mm-hmm.
and I was thinking, okay, Fender has 1,000 different. Well, it seems like 1,000 different models of Telecaster.
Yeah. And they've got the US Telecaster, they got the Ultra, the Ultra Lux, they've got the Player series, and now they have the what is it, the Telecaster Standard series or something made in Indonesia or whatever. Yeah, so all kind of different plethora of different models to choose from.
Yep. So Steve said to me, he said, do yourself a favor, buy not an entry level one, but a Squire, just call it a Squire for this, and bring it to me, and he'll make it perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Find something that sounds good, and we'll go from there. I ran the racks at 4 different, big box stores up here. Well, 4 of the same store in different cities, and I went from cheapest all the way up to whatever the top of the one was without going custom shop was Ultra.
Right.
And the only one that actually had the fit and finish that I could tolerate was the one that I did get, and it was but it still didn't have that thing. So I sold it off, and then of course I'm in the mood for a telly, access to them, so I bought another one. No, it's the same fucking thing. And again, the fit and finish is great on it.
Mm-hmm.
Got rolled edges and the right frets and the right neck shape I like, but it's So what am I looking for? Well, you go into the platinum room, or what we have here, and you put a piece of shit $7,000 custom shop, and you hit one chord, and it's like, fuck me.
Right. And what is it that makes that so much better? What is it?
Yep. And not even plugged in. Just one chord, and it resonates from the fucking your nose all the way down to your balls.
And maybe that's just how a guitar seems like a quality guitar to you. Maybe all those other ones, somebody would play it and go, yeah, this is perfect. So, but
it's the same with the Sirs. When I was getting that, our guy had 5 of them because they did a run of them, and 2 of them were outstanding. 3 of them were really good. There was absolute difference.
Yeah.
When I got this one, and it was still the best of 6 that I played that are all the same model.
Yep. I still stand behind a statement that I've said before. The best Fender, Strat, or Telly that I've ever played is a Nash. And that would be one where going off brand, I wouldn't have a qualm with it. those Nash guitars, and they're a reputable brand on their own, but they are, to me, almost on par with what a Fender custom shop, like you're describing. You pick it up $7,000 and strum it, and it's fantastic. But
I'd
these,
like to be able to wrap my hands around one.
these are $2,500, for these.
You told that to me,
Yep.
I think, before I bought the last one.
Mhm.
Go to Nash, and I've gone through them all, but I just don't have access to them here.
Yeah. Fantastic
Like the-
guitars.
It's the same thing with and I'll shut up after this. The custom shop ones, there was 3 or 4 tellies with the neck that I like and all that stuff, and there was one that was just that much better than all of them.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy there, he said, "Listen, I tell you to buy this one, but don't run the racks, find the one, and when it speaks to you, figure out how to pay for it."
Right.
So
Yep.
that's the way it is, and that's at the custom shop level.
Right. Not Visible is here. Welcome in. I had a school Epiphone bass, short scale, thought nothing of it, routed out the pickup holes and put some F Jazz bass stock pickups. I can make that bass sing. Right on. Little modifications. Joe says, I'm all into guitar repair now that I'm retired and can do anything to an acoustic or electric guitar. A lot told me I would work people's guitars, make up the price of tools that it takes. That's one way to get it back. MIC closer, John. Everybody has mentioned.
Oh,
I've got people that are actually emailing and putting in comments. Jimmy and John need to eat the mic because can't hear
how's
you.
everybody doing tonight?
There you
Feeling
go.
good.
There you go.
I am good. You know what? Fuck, by what day is it? By Thursday, I'm going to have one of those dink mics that you guys are going to have. Which is bullshit.
Well, I don't think it's the mic because it doesn't help Jimmy
Yeah,
either.
you just tell me, John, it's the mic, and then I'll be the same. Right?
Yeah.
So
it's
now
the
is
mic.
this
Maybe I
snobbery?
always have a sock in my mouth.
Well, it's exactly. I mean, when I went to buy microphones for my cabinets, I'm like, what did Ed use? SM57s. What did everybody else use? SM57s. Sure, SM57s. All right, that's what I'm going to use.
Yep.
What does everybody use for a vocal mic? Oh, the SM7B. Okay, that's what I'm going to get. Is that snobbery to want, what's considered the best stuff? No.
Well, I feel like a loser using a regular vocal mic and not that. So,
Well,
I
that's
guess
an
it is snobbery.
SM58. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. There's hardly
Exactly. There's nothing wrong with that, but it's not the right mic.
there's hardly any difference between that microphone and an SM57 and this one right here. Maybe a little resistor or something, but all the parts are still the same.
It's the same as a Squire Strat and a
Exactly.
Fender Strat. They're the same. Why are you
They're the
worried about
same.
it, John?
Yeah, exactly.
God damn it.
Stupidities. I have 2 PRS and not inspired to play them. The one PRS that I purchased was that SE. That was a giveaway guitar, and it played great. Sounded great. I've got some shorts that I did with it, but it wasn't a Les Paul. For me. So, Jade Guitars. I love my USA made PV Tracer. That's good stuff. Jimmy, you've got
Yep.
1 or 2 of those, don't you?
Yeah, I think I have like 7 or 8 of them, all in various models.
Channel member Andy Carson, our favorite firefighter, is here. Right on. I honestly think it's all subjective and in the fingers. I've witnessed folks take a $200 Strat copy and make them absolutely sing. Well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, a great guitar player is going to sound great on anything that he plays, unless the action's a mile high and he's like, this is unplayable.
But I do guarantee you a great guitar player playing a great guitar to him is going to
Right.
sound better than playing
Yes.
200. I guarantee it.
Yep.
100% of the time.
Yep. And the whole time that he's playing that $200 guitar, is he thinking, man, this thing feels like crap, Or if he goes into a studio with it, he's going, I'm not inspired by that at all. He can play it and it'll sound great, but is it the right guitar for him? So just, for argument's sake.
Yep.
Gene Spliced, channel member, is here. Gene, I think we said hello already. McCarty 594 SE, set up by me, is the only PRS I enjoy. But then again, I will only like a guitar if it is set up by me. Nothing wrong with that.
Too, right?
Yep. Getting
I'm
it
lucky
the way.
I got a guy like Steve who'll sit there and pull one string up and hand it over. But, So
Yep. Let's see. Brian Peterson. When I first picked up my signature EVH Wolfgang, I knew the feel was so much better, and it was. Same. My like I said earlier, my purple special, that thing is pretty special. It's not it's not that USA signature level, but yeah. Bradley, agree on the Sur. I currently have 3 and wouldn't miss any of them at all. They're very nice, but they just don't sound 100% right to me. I'm not a fan of the pickups at all. I don't believe that I have ever plugged in a Sur. Maybe that one at Guitar Center when Randy and I went. Most guitars I will pick up and I will play them acoustically first. If I'm not impressed with it, I put it right back on the shelf. And I don't think that I have ever really wanted to plug one in. I think Randy was wanting me to plug that one in because it had stainless steel frets, and we wanted to see if it had that pingy sound that he was talking about. Let's see. Zach says, my process in choosing a guitar or buying a guitar, it has to feel and play better than one of my guitars that I already have. Who doesn't do that and doesn't do that for me, then I don't buy it. That's a pretty interesting thing to do there. Yeah. They, each guitar for me, it just has to resonate and it has to feel right in my hand. And usually I can tell within a half a second when I put my hand on the neck if I'm going to like it. Then when I strum, an A chord or, a D chord, and I feel the resonance of the guitar, I'm pretty well, within a few seconds, I know if I want to continue playing that and seeing what kind of character that it has. We've got channel member William De Silva is here saying howdy to the people. Good to see you, William. Big Bad Bill. Sweet William now. Let's see. Scrolling on down. Cake Sam Rock. Watching this. I think I'm sticking with Ibanez. All right. And maybe that's a preference for an Ibanez because the necks are flatter. Jimmy, you were talking about a radius neck the other day. You were like, it's had such an extreme radius of 12 inches on it. And we're like, no, that's pretty normal. But you're used to playing like a 16-inch radius with the Ibanez. Or Ibanez. Let's see. Stu Petty, I had a Hondo 5 as my first guitar. Let's see. Hondo was a good movie. Yeah, didn't that have Peter Fonda in it, if I'm thinking of the right movie? I don't know. Let's see what else is going on in the chat. Joe says a Rototune LP garbage. Hugh, as a guitar tech, there are certain brands I get in that are always consistently well built, one being Ibanez. There we go. Yep. Another vote for the Ibanez. Mm-hmm. Let's see. EC 1000. No, it wasn't. It wasn't the 1000. I did like the 1000 because it had the, what was it that it came with? Was it a JB and a 59? I think was in those.
It depends on that. There's sub levels of or different models or different little accoutrements.
Well, at
pickups or
yeah. At the time, I remember that they had. I think the EC 1000 was thinner as well, and I didn't like how thin the body was. It was like an EC 50 or I don't know. I can't remember. 200, maybe a 200F. Something like that. No, it wasn't an F.
1000 series are full thickness.
Are they?
Yeah.
Okay.
But as you go down in number, like 200, 300, 400, they get thinner. You get generally thinner bodies and different neck profiles.
And I'd have to look it up and see, but it was like it was an EC something. It wasn't 1000. It was a smaller number, like an EC 20 or EC 50. I can't remember. Let's see. Joe says Epiphone has inspired by Gibson acoustics and electrics. The acoustics are very nice for the price. The acoustics is a whole nother thing. I think even more so on an acoustic. For me, you hand me a Yamaha or this or that, which is a good brand, but I have yet to find one that I like. I'm kind of partial to a Martin or a Taylor. Let's see. William has been eyeing the FGN Les Pauls. Let's see. That's the Japanese made ones.
Yeah, Fujigen,
Yep.
Ibanez.
He's got one of the Tellys. Great guitar. Right on. KXM Rock loves changing out stock pickups to Duncan or DiMarzio. You can totally tell the difference. Let's see. Reliability is huge as well, says Mr. Franklin. Agreed. Saw a video of Martin Factory and very interesting. Some is robotic and some is hands-on. Zach says, I'm the same way. I like Fender, Gibson, Taylor, Martin. Just a meeting with you. Agreeing with me. Searching for Tone is here. Welcome in. Good to see you, sir.
What's up?
Let's see. Jeff K, channel member, is here as well. It says, I'm a Strat guy at heart, but I've been on the just right Les Paul search for years and great journey. Sometimes the journey is more fun than the destination.
Yep.
Hey, look at here. We got Dan Gorman. Right on, Dan. Good to see you. Here, we'll give you a little acoustic. Let's see. All right. That, of course, was not practice. And John was like, I'm out of here. Good to see you, Dan. Let's see. Blue Mox celebrating 17 months of membership. We appreciate you, Blue. He says, said it before. I love the respect and kindness in this channel. Crew and chats. A pleasure for me to meet you all. Man, we have appreciated you being here in the chats with us, man. We thank you and appreciate your long-standing channel support. Thank you very much. Hugh says, I wouldn't say it's snobbery wanting the name brand guitars. They are what you grew up dreaming and owning. Yeah, for me, anyway. Wally in the box is here. Says, hey, my crew, gonna hang for a few. Welcome in. Stay as long as you like, man. Let's see what else. We got channel member Cushman NYC. What is going on here? Cheers all. Man, we are just chilling and having some good discussion. William says, I saw footage of Dimebag playing one of his imports ML Live. If it works, it works. What else is happening here? Zach, I'm the same way. I think I read that one already. Jeff K here says, here's the note. Money. Let's see. I will say, says Joe McGraw, that Gibson has stepped up their game, but they had to. So many boutique builders, and they all use CNC machines to get them perfect. Pretty cool. Watch a video. There's Bo, channel member Guitar Man 45, saying hey to the crew. Good to see you, Bo. Welcome in. Thanks for being here. And anybody that's here. What's that?
I bet you Bo has a few things to say about.
Oh yeah, I'm sure he does. A quick thank you to anybody that's here watching the replay. We appreciate you jumping in to watch us when you couldn't be here live. Let's see what else is going on. Revolution is my name. Says, haven't heard a core PRS with good pickups yet. Love hate with my custom 22.
Generally seems to be the way it is with the PRS, especially when it comes to the pickups. Either love them or hate them.
Right. Joe says, I'm getting ready to buy a nice Charvel and Ibanez. There is a difference for sure in quality of wood used for sure. Let's see. Searching for Tone, saying hey to Blue there. Darboard calling out 40 Grit did a video with 2 Lynch flavored guitars, ESP and LTD. I thought the cheaper sounded better on the video. Now, that brings up a good point. Maybe one guitar sounds better, but perhaps the other one feels better. So, which is it that you prefer? You want it to sound better or do you want it to feel better?
Jimmy's got an answer for that.
Tear it apart.
I would say the one that feels better, you can always change the pickups or whatever and make it sound the way, or the neck, yeah.
Jimmy's case.
I mean, sometimes it's not just the pickups, you know. Maybe you need. I mean, it could be something as weird as just changing your posts for your bridge.
Yep.
It's amazing what, people do things like change, the actual bridges, say like a Tune-O-Matic or where, doing that. But I've also had changes when what's that bridge sitting on?
Mm-hmm.
It's sitting on different posts. Buy a different brand of post. Is it made of aluminum? Is it made of steel? Is it,
Yep. It all comes down to the sum of all of the parts. Basically, yep, for sure. Let's see. Hugh says, I never would have considered buying an artist signature guitar until I tried a Music Man Luke 3. I bought it after playing it for 20 minutes. I'm really not, unless it's an Eddie signature guitar. I'm not really into signature guitars either. Clapton Strat, I could care less. Stevie Ray Vaughan Strat, I could care less. What's the other one? Eric Johnson. What's his name? Is it Eric Johnson?
Eric Johnson.
Yeah. I could care less. This guitar that I have in my hands was a artist guitar of what's his name?
Adam Jones.
Adam Jones. I could care less. I didn't even notice that it was an Adam Jones model. I just noticed the way that the guitar looked. I pulled it down. It sounded fantastic, and it had an ebony fretboard on it. And
it's the same with my Thorn guitar. It looks like a modern, like a certain modern.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have anything. I was glad about that.
Yep.
It's a good point. Just brought up the Luke.
Mm-hmm.
Music Man make fantastic guitars. And I went out and I tried the latest one of the Luke. It's perfect. I hated it.
just unexplainable.
Yeah. I mean, it just wasn't for me.
Yeah. Wally in the box. I got a Squire Telly Bullet series. It plays fine, but needs some help. Oh well. Yeah, the Squire that I had, I updated upgraded the tuners to locking tuners, and I did some work on it and kind of set up the bridge and did some different things on it, and it was fine. I ended up giving it away. It just didn't do it for me. It played fine, sounded fine. Let's see what else is happening in the chat. Joe says Heritage LPs are very nice, I hear. That's the same thing I heard. And I played 3, 4, 5 of them. Didn't care for them.
Nothing.
Huh? Yeah, no.
Nothing. Yeah.
Searching for tone. Worst thing I did was get rid of a Nash Telly. Divorce women. Yep. For some reason, years ago, I had a Nash Strat, and I sold it. I don't know why. Shouldn't have. Dan is saying, where's Randy? He is having internet issues once again. So, unfortunately, he is not here. Bradley says, seriously understand that, John. I've yet to find a sewer pickup that gives me what I'm looking for. Man, I'm way back in the chat here.
The chat's kind of rolling.
Yeah, that's fine. We'll get to everything. Ever since the Fender series guitars have come out, I haven't played one that I liked. Let's see. Cushman saying, hey, right on. KXM Rocks. Old England uses totally not the MICs everyone uses. Oh, the mics. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's good mics out there. There's, Royers and other names that I've heard. We're going to put this SM57 and a Royer over here, and then over back here we've got a some other kind of mic, and I'm like, SM57
21. I was thinking, oh, that'd be great to add in here, and then you look at it, it's like $1,800. Like, no, I don't need that 121.
Yeah,
that's fine.
Yeah, $89 SM57s, 3 of them. Just right up on the speaker.
$109
done.
Canadian.
Yeah, done. Let's see. I heard PRS only uses tone wood on their guitars. That's it. Yep. All wood is tone wood. The tone may not be good, but it's all tone wood. Chatting with KXM Rocks there. How many PRS guitars? All 10 tops, but they have many. They're all 10 tops, but they're from the 90s. Gibson has spent a lot of money on production, and they still use the old jigs from years ago, so other companies are still chasing that, says Joe. Looky here, we've got channel member who was gifted a channel member. Guitar Talk Universe Quentin is here. This just in, the first Van Halen albums were done on a 70s Ibanez and a $300 POS parts guitar. Yeah, but did they feel good? There was obviously something he didn't like about them, right? Because he changed them. Let's see what else is happening. Catching up here. Whatever Johnny B plays will always sound like one I don't want to own. I don't know if we're thinking of the same Johnny B there, but yeah, that applies to both, I would guess. See, Dennis Ellis is here. Right on. Good to see you. Still pick up a Squire playing out in my Guild Jet 90. You know, there was a guy from Genesis. What's his name?
Mike Rutherford?
Yes. I do believe that he currently plays Fender Squires. He just has his tech go through, set them up, and he plays a Squire. Yep. Nothing wrong with it. I'll never get a JB pickup because it reminds me of a YouTuber. There we go. Let's see. 256 LTD. Maybe that's what it was. I'd have to look and see. Pinging. That's usually from the nut, not the frets. Well, it was a specific sound that you get sometimes when you have stainless steel frets. And it could be that, when you're fretting and you're pushing down, it could be just the ping against the fret. It's kind of what it was sounding like. I
almost guarantee you that would go away with a truss adjustment, because those things are plucked before they go out of the factory. There's
right.
None of that.
Right. Let's see. Martian Murray, channel member, is here. I'd love a 300 series Taylor. And see, that was something that I found when I was looking for my Taylor. I got the 200 series because to me, it sounded the best. A lot of times the 300 and up series, a lot of times are just the embellishments that they put on it. You know, you've got this binding on the neck and maybe a different color of the dot inlays or a certain different type of inlay. When I was looking for my acoustic, that was the one. It was specifically the 224K, which is the Koa model, sounded the best to me. So I guess because it wasn't the most expensive one, and that was no longer guitar snobbery. It was based on the one that felt and played or sounded the best. And my wife is watching Maple Leaf hockey. So if you guys hear her up there rooting and ranting and raving, that's what that is. What's that?
That's good.
Yeah. Stephen Franklin, I have an old 70s Guild acoustic I bet you'd like. Now, I have played some older Guild acoustics that I was really impressed with. So I would probably agree with you there. Hugh says, I have a 310 from 2002, talking to Martian Murray. Right on. Lay it down unplugged, literally. Yeah, hopefully you didn't hear it. Cushman, I have an Epiphone Elitist made in Japan. Very nice guitar. Well made. Right on. Hey, look at here. Hugh Caldwell throwing something out there for us. A little cha-ching. Hugh Caldwell just became a member. Thank you, Hugh. We appreciate the support. Looking forward to having you visit many, many more times. Thank you.
Welcome to the club.
Absolutely. Part of the OU crew. Hugh, as we stated, I think you were here Sunday. We opened that up, and I know that you've done, panels with Lori over there, and you've submitted or even played live. We would welcome you to join on a Sunday. Just let me know if you'd like to do that, man.
Be awesome.
Let's see. Mark's gas station is here, giving some greetings to the folks. Good to see you, Mark. Let's see. Scrolling down. Cables also make a huge difference. Now, are we snobbery with cables? See, that's one thing. I walk into Guitar Center, I'm like, give me the cheapest cable you got. and then just make do with it.
I don't know about snobbery, but I have all of my cables are one specific type of cable, and that's it.
That's
then
it.
it's out of the equation.
And just keep it consistent.
Yep.
Todd 0864 is here. Welcome in, Todd. He says that Kramer is sweet. Top Jimmy.
Right on.
Joe, I love kids that have lower end guitars, and after I set them up, they are very happy, and that makes a difference to a new player. It's a properly set up guitar. I do agree with that. No matter whatever level it is, it needs to be properly set up for sure. Mike's or made in China. I think that comment was Mike's. Let's see. So Hugh brings up an interesting comment here or question. A great guitar with an okay amp or a great amp with an okay guitar? I think that if I didn't have both, I would just move. So
I'm
if
more of an amp snob, really, but your interface to all of it is a guitar, so it's like you said, I'd just move too.
right.
Take up the accordion.
Mm-hmm.
I guess it depends on how not great of an amp it is.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's a tough one. Yeah, I just wouldn't put myself in that position. So there we go. That's my answer, and I'm sticking to it.
I quit.
Yeah,
How's that?
I quit.
I'm gonna go with the guitar because I have amps sitting here in the room that people would generally snub their nose at, but I mean with the right guitar, inspires you to play. You play better when you have a great guitar, and so that reduces the so-called crappiness of your amp because people are going to notice the performance, not the tone.
But at the same time, if the amp is really crappy and it sounds like an AM radio, what's the point?
I've heard some super great players with great performance sound like shit.
Right.
Because of the model or the amp they're using. So it's
Yeah. Yeah, I stand by my answer. I'm just not putting myself in that position.
me too. Mediocre at best player with really nice gear.
Right. Zach says that for electrics, he's got a 2001 Fender Mexican Strat, 17 Les Paul, and an 18 Fender American Professional Telecaster. Love all three. As well you should, sir.
Yep.
Uh-oh, they're tied 2-2. Uh-oh.
Who are they playing?
Ottawa, their mortal enemy.
Oh.
Let's see. Todd says, any of you guys got a killer P90 guitar to play for us? The only P90 that I have is in my Friedman over there.
My that parts guitar had P90s in it for all the years I gigged. Got rid of the P90s.
Maybe for, let's see, we got Trans-Tram Thursday coming up. Maybe next Sunday's Community Jam, I'll break that out. Hugh says, I'd love to. Right on, man. Just let me know. There's a email in the description. If you'd like a link to one of the Sunday shows, just shoot me an email. Some Dave dude is here. It says L. George and Mogami.
Yeah, I use Mogami's.
Jade Guitars says, I picked up a Fender Tele style guitar a couple years ago for $200, and it was great from the start. Right on.
Heard good things about those guitars.
And he meant for
the TE series or the TE80 is particularly a nice Tele type.
Right on. Let's see. Jeff K says, great amp first. So
I'm leaning there too, but
yeah. I guess if I was forced into that position, I would probably say the same.
Mm-hmm.
Because very honestly,
good enough player to salvage something out of a shitty guitar.
Yeah. And, obviously you're not talking about permanently, because eventually you'll be able to afford something else, or you're just in a jam and you're playing a gig and you've got, I guess the scenario is you can either use this great amp or this great guitar, but not both kind of scenario. So,
well, you've ever had it where you go to a buddy who's gigging with his band and you're sitting there and he's like, come on up and Jay play a tune. And so you got his rig, his guitar, and it's like, this is not the most comfortable
Right.
situation to be in, but you
Well,
make it work, right?
I mean, I guess I have the perfect example right here. You know, I could plug $100 guitar into this great amp rig and it would sound phenomenal. So, yeah, I think I'm kind of leaning with amp as well. But still, I wouldn't put myself in that position.
Never mind. Fuck it.
Gene agrees, great amp.
Yep.
Hugh says, I go amp. There we go. Todd, I love real amps. I need to sell some guitars and buy more amps, tube amps.
Yes, sir. You need to.
You need to, absolutely. Bradley says you get acclimated to a not so good guitar over time, but there's no getting used to a crap amp.
I would agree.
Yeah.
Every time
I
you
guess-
hit a chord, you're just looking.
Yeah. I guess the more that I think about, you know, yeah, great amp. I would have to do that. Martian Murray, how about mediocre guitar and amp? You just make do with what you got then, I guess.
Yeah.
Hey, look at here. We got Rico is here. Welcome in. Says, I hate the idea of owning a tube amp for whatever reason. Aren't replacing tubes expensive? Well, they can be, but you're only doing it every, 10 years, maybe, if that. That's the thing about tube amps is a lot of times people, I got to change the way it sounds. I need new tubes in it. No, you don't.
Tubes aren't filters.
Let's
I love
see.
everything
They
about
only
tube
make it
amps. It gets hot
tiny,
and fucking
tiny
stinks.
bit.
And
That I was just about to say that aroma that you got, it,
Just put your greasy, ungloved hand all over the tubes before you put them in,
yeah.
and that smell will linger.
let's see. Joe says, I am a YouTube hog and watch all guitar repair and amp repair videos. The amp techs know what amps that are decent and amps that suck. But no amp names, no mesa. I know who you're talking about there. Let's see. Hugh says, my PV6505 sounds good with almost any guitar apart from my resonator. I don't know that
That's
any.
a good example of a good amp.
Yeah.
Right? That's built on strong bones, and it's not going to fail you.
Mm-hmm. Blue Mock says, I still have my first amp, a Sanyo boombox, and a Metal Zone pedal. Who did not own a Metal Zone pedal? I mean, if you were into rock and you wanted gain and distortion, the first pedal that you buy, a Metal Zone.
Which one? There was the Metal Zone, which I owned, and then there was the heavy metal pedal. Also,
Right.
Remember that? I owned them both.
What was the rest of his? Let's see. Sanyo boombox and a Metal Zone pedal. Nothing but fails until I bought a PV Triumph 112 combo, which I still have. Nice.
Great sounding amp.
Some Dave Dude says, I used to have a custom shop Fender 1969 reverse headstock and slanted single pickup, so like a Jimmy, but did not say that. Had to sell a lot off right after COVID. Well, that sucks, man.
Yeah.
Todd bought a new Fender Player Telly when they came out. Took about 5 years for that neck to settle down. Plays great now. Very frustrating. See, I wouldn't have had the patience for that. I'd have been like John, right in the bin.
Headstock first.
Yeah. Now it's a headless.
Yeah.
Crap like that, and it goes into either into the closet or the crate for.
Let it sit for a good 10
Yep,
years
just
and then pull it out. Yeah.
Let it sit and then.
It ought to be dry now.
Yeah.
Let's see. Some Dave Dude. Now my only posh guitar is a PJD Guitars custom shop Carry Apprentice Sherwood Green. Man, that's a mouthful of a guitar there.
It is.
One of 12 of each color. Wow. Let's see. We've got Cool Tunes Made Easy is here. Right on. I'm assuming that this would be somebody that has a YouTube channel, and it's because he makes cool tunes easy on the guitar. So
That would be logical.
it says tubes last long. Never replaced any yet.
Well,
They do.
that depends on the amp, because if you're running your dissipation rate at the very high end and really cooking them tubes, they will crap out on you sooner. But say like lots of PVs with a fixed bias that are on the cool side, tubes will last for decades in them.
Yeah, I don't think. I mean,
There's
the
been
hot bias thing has kind of gone away, right?
There's been 2 amps that I've replaced tubes on. One was a 5150 combo that I bought secondhand, and one of the preamp tubes was gone. So I completely retubed that one. And then this OG 5150 right here, the white faced one, that was my gigging amp. And when I got that, there were a lot of, when it was new back in 2007, I think is when that came out. There were a lot of discussion boards, and I was always going in, looking at it and what to do this and that. And they were stating that you needed to check the bias, the topic boards or whatever. So I pulled the head out and I found the pins and I checked the bias, and it was biased cold. And the recommendation was to beef that up a little bit. So I did that. And no. It sounded phenomenal after doing that.
Yep.
It was just like, it was tight.
Came
It
to
was
life, yeah.
it was punchy.
I did that with my OG 5150. Well, I didn't do it, but
Right.
I had it done.
But having that amp on all the time for practices, and then gigging, it did need tubes, with it tweaked up like that. So that's really the only 2 amps that I've ever had to put tubes in. Let's see. Talking to Rico, I have both, but used a custom 100-watt solid-state amp. That's amazing. Nothing wrong with a good solid-state amp. That's the dime bag. Oh,
No better than digital.
you
But
can't now. Let's see. There's a lot of issues now with tubes in every brand. I've heard this. A lot of trouble getting tubes as well.
Not really. But you gotta, you can't just get them anymore. You gotta go to somebody like Tube Amp Doctor. And then this is where it gets expensive, right?
Yeah.
And you get them, the sets matched, and they're guaranteed. And they're
Todd says you can change your tubes, but always hold on to the old ones unless they are clearly blown. Absolutely. I've got a box of them out there.
Here, you're a lunatic like me. I've got
Mm-hmm.
enough for fucking 10 amps for 10 years.
Hey, look at here. We got Robbie, Mr. Kramer, Stingle. Says, geez, I had a Big Muff 1977.
Well, they were in style then, the big ones, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean,
They got a little trimmer, and then in the 90s, it started going bald. 2000s, I guess.
Oh, man.
Something there.
Jeez. Let's see what else is going on. Hugh says, with the rise of digital and plugins, do you fear for the future of tube amps?
100% not.
I don't.
Always be tube amps.
Specifically because I think I'm pretty well set with what I need. Let's see. Cool Tunes Made Easy found something funny there. Right on. Robbie says 1971 Marshall Super Lead Plexi. Now this is something else that you can be snobbery on. Do you settle for that Bugera V? What was it, 66459 or whatever it was supposed to be, the copy of a 5150? Or do you
1960?
Something like that? Do you get
Got one.
you got a Bugera?
I have the 1960, the 333.
Yeah. Do you find it reliable? Do you
Those
find
ones were.
do you find that it sounded just as good as the ones it was trying to duplicate?
It was 90% there.
Yeah.
And a lot of times it's, you got other things like, and they're just heads. So you push them through, whatever greenbacks or whatever that amp was, usually, was playing through is you could probably hide it and nobody would probably be able to tell the difference.
Right.
Except for you.
Now, did you find yourself that when you were playing through that Bugera, were you like, man, I wish it was a Marshall?
No.
But how many people would? Yeah. Let's see. Some Dave dude, the PJD they put in a Mars Tronic treble maker, treble bleed, frets, 22 Jescar nickel medium jumbo single bridge pickup, PJD fat nacho P90. And you got a mouthful of guitar stuff. The Fender was heavy relic too much for me. Now that I think of it, PJD is slightly relic. What is it? PJD?
I don't know what that is.
Let us know what that is. Let's see. Cool Tunes Made Easy says, play your acoustic more and save the tubes. There you go.
Oh, come on.
Joe, I'm a hoarder of old tubes and have a nice tester, but used to sell them on eBay, but no more. Cool Tunes Made Easy pipes up. I have a Bugera V2 Infinium. Never an issue. Great amp. Something I probably never sell it. Well, there we go.
No.
A man happy with this Bugera. So, man, we've been going for what, an hour and a half tonight. Wow. The topic has just woken up a lot of opinions. Almost as good of a discussion.
Amps next.
Almost as good of a discussion as the string gauges the other night. What have you got in store, John, as far as your Telecaster purchase? Are you still looking? Is it kind of on a back burner?
Well,
Are you deciding that you don't need it, but when you decide that, you be like, yeah, I still need it.
yes.
Yeah, all of the above. I wish that I'm going to see. Well, there's a shop here in the Atlanta area that it's a Nash dealer. Right. I'll see if I can go over there and find. What are you looking for? Like a classic blonde butterscotch telly?
I really don't care about
kind of thing.
I mean, if I had my druthers, it would be shell pink or seafoam green, but I don't really care about that. It's the early 60s neck. It's got that slight V on it.
Mm. And you're looking for standard telly bridge pickup with a with a lipstick in the neck. Okay.
Shaped object.
Right.
Then we'll have to meet in L.A. or Vegas.
Right.
I'll pay you the cash for it and put it in a gig bag and hopefully get it across the board without any tariffs.
You got to take it apart and put it in your duffel bag. Anything to declare? No. Right? Is that a guitar neck, or are you happy to see me?
That's just a tree branch. I'll claim it as, fruits or vegetables coming across the border.
That's my tree trunk. Stephen Franklin says, great topic tonight. Right on, man. Thanks. We try to keep it interesting. Actually, to be honest with you, I'm just sitting at work and I'm like, what the hell are we going to talk about tonight? Oh, no. Oh, I got it. Yeah. Let's see. Robbie says, I play my Alvarez 77 every day with vids too. Let's see. Martian Murray, I want player 2 modified a telly. Zach, I only have amps, a Fender Frontman 25R for the electric, and a Fender Acoustasonic 40 for the acoustics.
Cool.
Nothing wrong with that. Joe says, Marshall Valve State amps, very cool. I traded a guy the amp to work on his guitar. It has one 12AX7 for the preamp, built in the 90s. But what a monster. It is almost recapped. Very cool.
Amp of choice for Chuck Schillender of the band Death.
So what about you, Jimmy? You had to start it out with a Kramer. That's one of your, that's the Aria.
Yep,
Les Paul shaped.
Pro 2.
Right on.
Yep.
Now,
the Areola Pro 2.
The Areola.
Yeah.
How long have you had that one? What year is that?
This is 83.
Okay. It's got some vintage on it.
And because, I like single cut guitars, but what I don't like is I picked up Gibson's Les Pauls to no end, always trying to pick one up. Okay, and then as soon as I got down here, it was like, yep, I'm done, because I just couldn't. My hand can't handle that neck heel on there, so it was just immediately a massive turnoff.
Well, you said earlier that you've got a little smaller hand, so that's maybe just a something that would bug you specifically.
Yep.
So
Maybe that's a deficiency in your character,
but,
Jimmy.
yeah.
That's what Ryan's
But
saying.
I mean, up
No,
here,
no.
it's like it's great. But if I go to play, do a solo thing, and it's like I just can't do it. It's too uncomfortable for me, and I tried, and it's just like nope. I mean, I can't do it. It's just something that I can't get past because I lack the
Well, if you would like
So-
to try a new Gibson Les Paul style guitar or an actual Les Paul that they've just come out is the Studio. I forget it.
Well, that's the Access, but
Yeah,
that's why I got
they
that.
yeah, that's got the cutaway on the back of it. Yeah,
And this
Oh, look at that.
this fills the that Les Paul, or that I should say that single cut thing.
yeah,
Because
scratches
this
the itch.
This guitar sounds great. I mean, it plays beautifully. And it's like,
See you, Bradley. Right on, man.
It's
Take care.
not the full thickness on there, and that doesn't really. I mean, that doesn't bother me any. I mean, but it's this maple body. It's not mahogany. It's all maple.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean and it's a 5-piece neck. I mean, the thing is it's built to last. It's a forever
tank,
guitar.
Right.
Yeah.
So I guess maybe as we're wrapping up for tonight, I've got a question that maybe we should all think about and consider.
Homework, if you will.
Well, it's not homework. It's just it's a question that makes you go, So all of this that we've been talking about. Let me see. Hang on. No, I thought I'd missed something. So all of this that we've been talking about. Does it matter? Is it snobbery? Do you play guitar because it's cheaper and it sounds good and you like it because it is what it is? Well, let's look at it this way. If you could afford any guitar that you wanted and you had a choice between that Epiphone that you love or the Gibson counterpart, or let's say the Squire that you think sounds pretty good and it feels okay, or the top end Stratocaster, and money wasn't an object, which one are you picking?
Is that meant to be answered or to ponder?
It's just to ponder. What do you think most people's answer would be?
The number one brand.
So then I guess basically this whole discussion tonight comes down to the fact is, can you afford it?
No.
No?
Not at all.
No?
Not at all. There's some guys that playing punk bands or that have, no name man guitars or whatever the hell, and they love them, and that's part of their unique sound.
Mm-hmm. Well,
There's old fuckers like us who have worked our whole lives and saved up enough money where we can afford the ones that we thought were the ones.
mm-hmm.
I think it only applies to us, really. And what is it we're paying for? All the things we spent an hour and a half talking about, the fit, the finish, the quality, the all of those things. But I think Jimmy's a perfect example, right? He's got guitars that if he doesn't like them, you'd give Jimmy anything and he'd make it perfect for him.
Right. Yeah. Well, it's just a point of argument, a different viewpoint or a different way to look at it. That's all what this is. We're not biased one way or the. I'm gonna buy the name brand. But just interesting
here's
topic.
another example. Take the Tyler guitars, right?
Oh,
it
no,
could be the best guitar in the world, but why aren't you buying it?
Because the headstock is ugly.
We're just vapid human beings, all of us.
Yes. Yeah. It really comes down to, I think that for me to make an honest choice between two different guitars, I think I would need to be blindfolded, I guess. Yeah. So let's see. Martian Murray says, I'll take a custom shop Jazzmaster, right?
Yep.
Yeah. If money were no object, that's what he would get. Mark says, I'd still buy Amazon guitars.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Mark enjoys tinkering and, doing fret work and all
Challenge.
that. And, likes a challenge, maybe. Joe says, I would buy a greenie from Kurt and give it to me or else. Sean Plays Guitar is here. Right on.
Amen.
Sean.
Coming in again right at the end of things. He says, hey, guys, welcome in. Let's see. Zach says, I would say since I have 2 handmade acoustic guitars, I would say if anyone can afford it, go with a custom guitar builder. Well, see, that brings up a whole nother can of worms there, Zach. Thanks a lot. You know?
Yeah, I mean,
Well,
I buy a lot of electric guitars sight unseen,
mm-hmm.
but when it comes to acoustics, it's like if I was interested in an acoustic, is I have to be able to put my hands on them and play them. There's just no question. I can't. I mean, it's just. I mean, oh, yep. You order one online. It's like, yeah, that's great. And it's like, how many times you want to do that? It's like, I'd just rather go into somewhere that's got nice acoustics and just go through the racks and play them, because that really matters. I mean, it absolutely matters on that.
Well, let's see. Not Visible Here says I played a Limbic, I guess is the name of that bass. $8,000. Was not impressed. Now I've played an $8,000 Murphy Lab Les Paul, and it was junk.
Same here. It was
I handed it back to the
14,000.
guy. Yeah, I handed it back to the guy. I was like, "That's a piece of crap." He's like, "What?" Hey, Maddie, McCullough Music, channel member.
Comes in laughing.
Welcome
He's
in.
high as hell again. I did 8,000 grams today.
Dan Gorman says I got a rock. Okay.
Hey, tap on it. Probably makes a note.
Hugh says I played in a Who cover band using an SG Special and high watt. Happy boy was I. More so because of the high watt, I'm assuming. Eddie Face says, hey guys. Hey there, Eddie. What is happening? Boy, the chat is coming alive with a few new folks in here. We got 56,000. Jeez. Let's see. Sean Plays Guitar says guitar brand matters broadly. Over many guitars, more will be good from a reputable brand. But on a given new guitar day, any brand can deliver the goods at any price. Mm-hmm. Oh, thank you, Sean. You just completely obliterated the whole show, and we have nothing else to talk about. But he basically just summed up everything that we just talked about. Yeah. Awesome. Let's see what else is happening. Robbie says, I'd probably get as many 81 to 83 Kramer Pacer specials and part them all and lawsuit ESP next too. Well, we know that you are partial to the Kramers there, Robbie.
That's a man who has a niche.
Blue, my favorite guitars that I own. My 96 Jackson Made in Japan Kelly and my Jackson Made in China Pro Plus. Both were just under $1,000, but one was bought 30 years ago. Wow. Yeah, but see, 30 years ago, $1,000 was like, what, 6,000 now?
That's right.
So, Jade Guitar says, I would build my own guitar. You know, if I had the means to do it, I would be building Steinberger headless shaped objects and putting trans trims on them, and I would love to be able to build my own guitar. I think I would just need the equipment. I think I would have the know-how to do it.
Enough?
Yeah, I think so. Jimmy. Boy, he keeps changing guitars.
He's got the rabbit.
Every time I look over, I'm like, wait, is it still the same night? Let's see. Matt says, read my comment from above. Okay. Let's see. Going up. Ayo. Was there another one? Let's see. Where he's laughing. I see that one. Mm-hmm. Maybe there was something else. Scrolling. Still scrolling. Don't see anything else from you there, Matt.
I did. What's his last thing there?
No. If you see it, click on it. Maybe just type it in again, because I don't see it.
No, we'll just keep 56 people hostage while we
right
look for your...
while we're looking for it. Let's see. Martian Murray got that one already. Oh yeah, I scrolled up way too far because of Matt. Let's see, Matt. Let's see.
Being censored for real, he says.
Read my comment from it must have been taken out because I don't see it. Anyway, Let's see. Read my comment from above. AO. Yeah, I don't see anything. It didn't come through. Let's see. Both of my EVHs, the Relic and the Rocket Red, play like butter.
Nice.
Eddie Faye says guitar brands matter as much as it makes you happy to play it and it sounds good. That's what I had mentioned earlier. It's for me the inspiration that I get from a certain feel of the guitar. And I guess I've been able to find that more so with, the specific brand name of the guitar. I think that it would be interesting to maybe try some of the Harley Bentons and the Earts and the Sire and what's that one from Guitar Fetish? It's like a
SJB.
SJB,
Steve Brown.
Yeah. I mean, I'd try them, just to see. Let's see. Sean says that's what I do, ruin everything. But when you touch guitars. Let's see. If that's really the overarching option of everyone here, then I'm in the right place. Opinion. Let's see. I did post. It won't post. Yeah, if it's got any kind of censored word, then it won't come through. Let's see. I did. Okay, he's going to space it out here. If money is no issue, I'd buy all the Amazon edibles again. Oh, let's see. Guitars and burn them all.
So why would that be censored?
I have no idea. Hugh says, I haven't played Charvel guitar since the 80s. Always loved how they played. That's why I was hoping that Randy could be here tonight. He would talk about Charvels that he enjoys and why. But, all right. I'm glad that you mentioned this one. Revolution is my name. I'd love to try a Nags Eric Steekel model. Randy was on here the other night, a month or so ago. Maybe it was in the green room or on the show. I don't remember. But he mentioned Nags guitars and how fantastic they were supposed to be. And I think that he had played a couple or something. And he was just really, really impressed.
Doug Rappaport model and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. They're a shop that the guy that does my a lot of my luthier work, he became a Nags dealer. And he had literally like 6 of them. And this was before... No. I had my Les Pauls already. I was thinking that I had purchased one after that. But anyway, I went in and I played every one of them on the wall. And they were nice. But they just didn't do it for me. $7,000-$8,000 guitar. So
Crazy.
Again, Nags is not a name that I've heard of. I'm sure it's a brand name that a lot of folks know, but just didn't do it for me. Let's see what else is going on. Blue says the longer you play, the more you know and can play anything better. But you also know what feels best for you.
And I think that's where people go, like with the Nags and the Sirs and the Tom Andersons and all those. They get very focused, laser beam focused.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't appeal to the broad mass audience, right?
Right.
And you either like it or you don't. Like maybe you don't like Sirs, maybe you'd play a Tom Anderson, which they're parallel, right? And you would love it.
Mm-hmm. Or
because it's got its own mojo, or hate it, or maybe
or not. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. Let's see. Robbie says I got an 85 Beretta with the Lacido Banana and the experimental never released 82 with the reverse grill ESP neck R5. So if money was no object, Robbie would buy all of the vintage Kramer inventory that he could get his hands on. Look here, Fisticuffers is here. It says, when I was younger, I was more worried about the name and the cost. Now, as I get older, it doesn't matter. I've built some from scratch and built some parts guitars. A good setup is more important. Let's see. Joe says, talking to Matt. Let's see. Talking back. Zach, whatever guitar makes you want to pick it up and play it, and gives you the joys of playing music, that's the regular guitar. So basically, Zach sums it up again. It's just all about the smiles. Whatever makes you smile, whatever, like I said, I think it's more about the inspiration. Whatever guitar inspires you. He was talking to you there, Jimmy. I remember back to when you were on Dave's Guitar Channel and showing your custom builds. Must have been 5 years ago, eh?
Yep, right at about 5 years now.
Awesome. Well, gentlemen, I'm about talked out on this subject. What do you guys got? Anything else?
All I got to say about that.
That's all I got to say about that. That's right.
Well, it's a great time and to be into guitars, because if the amount of stuff available now is something that I only dreamed about when I was just a young kid. It's like, oh, I got this black thing with the speaker in it out of the Sears and Roebuck catalog, because
Yeah. Well, I can remember growing up, my brother played guitar, and he was about 15 years older than me, my oldest brother. And it was some kind of Sears guitar or something that he had. It was a Strat-shaped object. And I can remember it just being thrown in the closet, and it had little push switches and whatnot on there. But I remember thinking that was the coolest thing ever. So everybody started out with, a cheapo, I think. All right, let's see what else is happening here in the chat before we get out of here. Todd, 0864, love me some Class A amps. Nothing wrong with that.
That's a subject
That's a
or different.
Whole nother, yeah. Robbie says, found the more rare the parts, the more up level the quality. You get to a level that you never go back to where you were. There you go. So what you get used to. Vic guitars are some killer axes too. Right on. Need some Bubba Gump shrimp now and can of butter. Todd says, my first setup was a Squire Bullet and a Crate G10 amp. That sounds very similar to what my first setup, and a Metal Zone pedal. Hugh's agreeing with you there. It's a great time to be a guitar player. Rock out with your chicken head out. Mark says there's no guarantees. Play and enjoy the time. You just never know.
Yes.
Let's see. Eddie Fay, the thing with brands is that they have reputation and standards. It's like when you're on a road trip and you're hungry for a hamburger, you can go with McD's and know what you're getting, or risk it. I guess so. Maybe you're more familiar with the brand, right? Mm-hmm. Let's see. Darboard says, Ryan, you like a guitar that resonates. Do you tend to lean towards a certain body material? Nope. If it sounds good and feels good, it is good. And if it's a brand name. No, I tend to, if it just has that mojo, I'm just hitting some chords here on this acoustically, and this thing is still resonating from just that little. So that's kind of what I look for. Just one that kind of gives you that mojo feel. Little preview of something I'm working on. More to come later. I just started learning that 5 minutes before the show. I was telling Jimmy I heard that song while I was at work. And it's a song that I've heard before. But for some reason, it just caught my ear. And I really wasn't even paying attention to what was playing. I was working. And it was on, on the computer in the background. And I found myself, sitting there at my desk, and I found myself just grooving to it. I was man, that's a really cool cool kind of groove there. So I was like, I'm gonna learn that.
Grabbed your stapler and started fucking singing.
Right? Exactly. What else is happening? Everybody has kind of stopped talking there in the chat. So I guess we're done. We've got 50,000 that are still here with us. So we appreciate everybody that came and hung out and listened to us rant all night long.
You said you were going to end it 10 minutes ago. Now end it, goddammit. They need closure, Ryan.
I'm going to say end it and you end it. So once again, we got 53,000 now. We got 3 more back. So we got to keep going. No, we're going to end it up for tonight. Again, thank you to everybody that was here. We appreciate all the support from everybody in the channel and on the chat tonight. Thank you for our new member tonight, Hugh Caldwell. Right on. Yeah, we appreciate you becoming part of the crew. Always welcome here. And like I said, you want to jump on a Sunday and jam out with us, then just let me know. And we'll see everybody again right here. Same channel, same time at 9:05 p.m. Eastern, but on a Thursday night. We'll do Trans Trim Thursday. And I'll play some guitars that have Steinberger trans trims on them all night while these guys switch it up between different style guitars, and we'll play some tunes and hang out and jam. And yes, thank you, Mark. Please do not forget to hit that like button. If you do that on your way out, we would appreciate it. And we will see everyone. Wait, we got one more comment here. Dennis, yep. I guess I'm old. I remember what a cheap guitar really felt like. Made so good now for the money, but I know what you mean about the hot stuff. Yeah. Right on, man. That's what we were talking about when we were younger. The stuff that we could afford was just crap. So we feel it. We feel it. We appreciate you being here, Jay Guitars, with the cool hangout. Right on, man. We'll see everybody Thursday night. So until then, we're going to say good night. Bye. Hasta la vista. See ya.
Eddie Van Halen here, telling you, keep playing, man. Gotta keep playing. It's the only thing there is. Music, man. Keep playing. All right? I'm gonna come looking for you if you don't.